Right. I've got quite a few things to say, so I'm going to try and get to them really quickly.
Okay.
Now, the people that I've spoken to have always said they believe in the union, they're not going to vote for independence, even if, they believe in devolution or they like devolution. Devolution's worked well for Scotland. They don't want to be separated from the UK. And the SNP is using Brexit for their own nationalistic ends. That's the reality of it. They keep banging on about, Brexit, and Scotland didn't vote for Brexit and things like this. London has a bigger population than the whole of Scotland, and they voted to remain. So what are we saying? Scotland should Scotland should remain in the EU. London should remain in the EU. It's absolute nonsense. And the SNP, I was part of the silent majority at the last referendum that didn't say anything. When anybody asked you, went out shopping in Inverness, everybody was, there was SNP supporters, they were standing at tables and handing out badges and flying balloons and all the rest of it. But I noticed all these silent people just walking through Inverness, getting on with their shopping. They weren't saying anything, and they went and voted to remain. That's the reality of it. And at that time, the SNP actually had a strong argument because oil was high. There was lots of money to be made from the oil. They were banging on about the oil, and we'll be great. We've got the oil. Oil is $49 a barrel at the moment. It's been low for ages. The oil yard at Nig in the Highlands has no work. The guys there have no work. I mean, without Westminster handouts, what is she going to do? What is Sturgeon going to do without those handouts? Is she going to make Scotland end up like Greece?
So you think if there were, Sarah, if there was another referendum next year, the vote would go exactly the same way, people would vote to keep the union?
I think it would be higher.
Oh.
Because I think the Remain vote would be higher because oil is so low now and they have even less of a mandate.
Mm.
That's what they were banging on about. We have the oil, we can do this. Scotland used to have a great fishing industry that they could fall back on.
I know. I mean, Scotland really want to have their own referendum up. I've got absolutely nothing against it. I just can't bear another 3 months of covering all the debate leading up to it. It just drives me crazy. Anyway, Sarah, thank you very much indeed. Jim is in Glasgow. Jim, what's your opinion? Is there appetite for another referendum on independence?
Absolutely not.
Uh-huh.
Absolutely not. The people of Scotland are sick to the back teeth of referendums. We gave our view, and it's time it was respected.
Mm.
The SNP do not respect referendums unless it's in their favour.
Do you think because of the overall Brexit vote and the fact that most of Scotland voted to stay in Europe, does that change the battleground here as the goalposts of that?
No, it does not.
No.
No, it does not.
I agree.
No, it does not.
Why do you think the SNP are so keen on doing this?
Because they have their own agenda. They are the Scottish National Party. It says it on the tin. They want to break away from the English. They want nothing to do with the English. That's what it's all about. And unfortunately, the people of Wales and Northern Ireland will be drawn into that as well.
Ah, but they may never take our freedom. So listen.
They want to be independent, but they don't want to be independent. You see, that's the thing. They want to be independent from England and the rest of the UK, but not independent from anybody else. They want to be shackled to the EU.
We hear a lot from the SNP. We hear a lot from people saying this is why Scotland would be better off outside the United Kingdom. Why would Scotland, or why is Scotland better off as it is?
Scotland is better off as it is because we know we have the Barnett formula, which works in our favour, for one.
Mm-hmm.
And we have the prospect of regaining our own fisheries, our own farming. What's not to like? We're going to have more powers than we ever had. And we're going to give all that away to be dictated to by the EU again. Nonsense. Nobody will vote for that except the nationalists.
Do you know what, Jim? I would love to have you on every week, every night. Phone in every night. I love
the call.